What's up, guys? Mitchell Watts with Town & Country TV, and today I'm joined by my man C-Love.
How's it going, guys?
Colton Love. He is head of our TC Customs department. But in today's video, what we're going to do is compare and contrast the difference between lifting and leveling your truck. So a couple years ago, we made this exact same video and it blew up. And what that told us is there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of people seeking out this information. So what we're going to do in this video is trying to learn you something, is what we say in Alabama. We're going to try and teach you the difference between leveling and actually lifting your truck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Time out. Before we go any further in the video, I need to let you know about something. Town & Country Ford is giving away a brand new 2021 Ford Bronco Sport, but it's not just any old Bronco Sport. We're going to completely trick this thing out before we give it to you. So it's very important that you hit up those links down in the description and go to register for free on alabamaford.com/giveaway. Or if you want to, anything you buy on tccustoms.com will give you automatic extra entries into this giveaway. So what are you waiting for? Check out alabamaford.com or tccustoms.com for multiple ways to enter this giveaway. So as you just saw, we actually are giving away that Bronco Sport. And by the way, if you buy the lift kit or the leveling kit, or I guess I got that backwards, the leveling kit or the lift kit, it automatically gets you extra entries into that giveaway for the Bronco Sport. So very, very cool stuff there. Check out all the different links. We will have every one of those itemized out for you in the description. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the leveling kit. So Colton, tell us what you've got right here.
So this is actually one of our salesman's trucks. He recently got some stuff done to his truck. We did a BDS 2.5-inch level with a set of Twilio RTs. These are 33 by 12.5s. Now he could have went with a 35 by 12.5, but he did want to stick with that little bit smaller tire. It still fills out the wheel well more, and it's a lot more aggressive. He actually has like the Sport Appearance XLT package, so he's got a bunch of red accents in and out of his truck. I don't want to get in the truck and get into that too much, but yeah, this is kind of the affordable way to really take your truck to another level. It doesn't take much to take these trucks and make them, from your normal grocery getter, boat hauling truck to something that's nice and aggressive and looks good.
So tell me a little bit about this BDS leveling kit, because this fits a 15 through a 20 model. Is that right?
Technically, it fits an 09 to a 15.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it actually goes from 09 to 15. Like I said, it's a 2.5-inch level kit.
09 to a 20?
09 to 20. Why'd I say 15?
I don't know.
15 got thrown out there at some point. I don't know. Yeah, brain, man.
So that's okay. So if it's an 09 through a 20 model, does it fit the 21s? Okay, so that's a no.
Off the record, yes. On the record, no.
Okay, so BDS does not claim that it does. They do not claim that it works. But have we tried to install this leveling kit on a 2021?
We have, just to do an experiment. We have a good customer who was completely willing to let us give it a try. It wasn't going to hurt anything. He was made aware of warranty stuff, whether or not it'll be covered under warranty if something happens. Okay. But yeah, and you'll find all over the internet where people will tell you, yeah, the stuff from the 20s do fit on the 21s. The struts are a little bit longer. They're a little bit different. It's enough to where they really do need a different leveling kit, especially if you want to keep that warranty. Okay. But with this particular leveling kit, as you've explained before, you've got the spacer that goes on top, but unlike most, it's also got a preload spacer that goes underneath the top hat, and that kind of helps balance out some of that spring compression and make it ride a little better. Okay,
so what is the biggest inherent benefit of, and once again, we're comparing this to the actual lift kit, what's the biggest benefit to a leveling kit compared to a lift kit?
You can still get in the airport parking lot.
That is definitely a good one. Okay, what's another one?
Well, affordability. That's kind of a big one. You go from what could cost you $600 to what can cost you $3,000. Yeah. And that's kind of the big difference there.
Now, if somebody wanted to order just this leveling kit itself, just the part itself, and they wanted to try and install, what does this leveling kit normally run?
$162.09 is what it's listed for on our website. Okay.
And then if someone has a 2021 model, what leveling kit do you recommend, since BDS doesn't really have a leveling kit right now available for 2021? What would you recommend for someone that has a 21 truck that wants to level it out?
I'd recommend the ReadyLift 2-inch level. We do have those on our website. They're $229.95, I think. Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's the one we recommend. We've had a lot of good experiences with ReadyLift, especially in their level. So that's something I definitely recommend.
All right. So before we get into the downsides of the leveling kit, let's talk about some of the upsides of the lift kit. And that's where I'm going to take traffic control, because I actually had a couple of dealings. I know you've actually talked to the customer as well.
Yeah.
But a great customer reached out to us from Las Vegas. So we're in Alabama. This customer reached out because he understands and trusts that we know what the crap we're doing. But Andy, I'm not going to say his last name for privacy reasons. There's tons of Andys in this world. But Andy reached out to us and said, hey man, I want to order this truck and I want to do basically what you see here. Now, the funny thing about this, and this is the whole reason we're even remaking this video, is Andy started out saying, you know, that, hey, I've got, and these are my words, not his, so I don't want to get him in trouble. But he basically said, I have a vertically challenged spouse that doesn't want to have to climb into the truck every time. He actually said, you know, my wife is, you know, she doesn't want to have to climb in and out. He didn't say that, that's my word. So Andy, please don't shoot me for saying that. But that is what I've said a couple times in the past. If you got a vertically challenged spouse, the good news is this particular vehicle is on a 4-inch BDS lift kit. And so the benefit there is you can fit pretty much 35s all day long without any issues. Now, this one actually happens to have the crash bar still intact on the front and the rear. That's where that, you know, is kind of mixing in. But the crash bar front and rear still intact. You still have the Fuel Rebel wheels, which give him just a little bit more of an offset. So that way it's got just a little bit more than a flush look. And I think it looks absolutely fantastic. His overall reason for wanting to step up to the BDS leveling kit, or the BDS lift kit versus, you know, the Ready Lift 2-inch leveling kit, was because he wanted to fit 35s. And yes, you can fit 35s on a leveling kit, but when you start going with a little bit more of an offset, it causes some clearance issues. To make sure we didn't have any issues with that, we installed this lift kit. I would say, and Colton, if I'm missing something, you know, hit me with some questions, but you know, I would say that on the lift kit side of things, the biggest benefit to the lift kit is going to be, obviously you can fit bigger tires, but the other thing is ride quality. Because you're keeping all of your suspension geometry intact, meaning that you're using a cross member drop down. Josh, if you want to kind of take a look at this, you can see there's actually a cross member that drops down that allows all of the lower control arms, the upper control arms. I mean, it replaces the steering knuckle. This one is the spacer kit, and so it's a much more affordable version, you know, compared to like the coilovers or what have you. But because everything is retained in that nice factory geometry for the suspension, you can abuse it a little bit harder. It's going to ride a little bit better on the interstate, or at least that's my argument anyways. So with that being said, what other questions do you have for me on the lift kit? Maybe something I might have forgotten. What are some of the other benefits you would think about a lift kit?
Well, I mean, you kind of hit on it. You know, I get a lot of the questions, was it going to make my vehicle ride rough? But no, like you said, everything, all the geometry is corrected with all those drop brackets and braces and the steering knuckle and all that. But you know, you talking about fitting a bigger tire, and you can fit 35 easily. Well, it's not that you can fit a 35 easily, but this is a 20 by 10 with a -18 offset. This is a pretty aggressive setup, and that's not something you're going to fit on a level truck with 35s. You might not even get it with 33s. So that's kind of another big benefit. I know the truck kind of looks big, but 4 inches isn't that big to go. And even with his vertically challenged wife, as you said, she can still hop up.
I'm gonna get so much trouble, Andy. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
She can still hop up in this truck just fine and not have any issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you kind of hit all the higher points. Plus, you know, it looks awesome. This is an awesome looking truck. You get, you know, that 4 inches changes this whole thing.
Absolutely. Now, guys, I do want to take a quick pause before we continue on in the video. If you want some more information about ordering, you know, obviously all the links will be down below. But if you want information about customizing a truck that you already have, whether it's just buying the parts or if you want us to buy it and install it, you can reach Colton directly. That phone number is right there on the screen. It's 205-491-0010. Or if you're like Andy and you want to buy a truck with the lift kit and you want to have it custom built, if you want to buy and build the kit, then the phone number is just a little bit different. It's 205-491-0000. So 2 great ways to get in touch with us. Either way, if you're going to be doing custom work, you're going to be working with Colton, which I say that as a benefit.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
It's a good thing, I promise. Absolutely. So with that being said, all right, let's talk about some of the downsides of both. Do you want to start with the leveling or the lift kit first?
Yeah, we'll start with the leveling kit first.
Okay.
First off, you are limited to your tire and wheel options. You know, you can't do anything crazy wide, can't do anything crazy big. You do have a little bit of, from what I've heard, we haven't done any serious testing on it yet, but you do lose a little bit of fuel mileage just due to losing that slight rake that kind of pushes the wind over the top of the truck. I've heard a few people say that.
Well, but hold on, let me argue with that. So if we're doing that over here, are we not leveling out a truck on a lift kit as well?
Well, that's true.
Comparing the lift versus the level,
Okay.
what would you say? Because yes, you're right, it does affect the fuel economy, but so does a lift kit. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there, but compared to the lift kit, what would you say the biggest downside is?
Biggest downside, again, a limitation on wheel and tire. That's the biggest.
Okay.
Besides that, there's really not too many downsides to leveling your truck.
Okay.
Maybe in a towing situation, it's going to squat a little more than you'd like it to. I've had a few people ask me that, and we offer airbags for the rear and super springs and stuff like that, so you can kind of get that back end a little stiffer, or use the airbags to pick it back up. But yeah, realistically, the biggest downside is limited on wheels and tire options.
Okay, so let's talk about the lift kit. And the biggest downside to that, I would say, is that you cannot return it back to stock. So on a BDS lift kit, and not all vehicles are this way, so I don't know if Chevrolet or Ram, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I can speak specifically for the Ford. On the Ford F-150, when you do the lift kit, you actually have to drop the front differential down further. And to do that, to make room for that differential to get lowered, you actually have to trim a piece of the frame off, if I'm not
No, you're
mistaken.
correct, yeah.
And so you have to trim that off. Well, when you move that down, you trim it off, move it down, there's no real way to actually move it back up. You'd have to re-weld it back together. I would not recommend that. So realistically, the only right way to bring a lifted truck back to factory is to completely replace the frame, and that is not cost effective. So this is more of a permanent tattoo, whereas this is more like the henna tattoo.
There you go, yeah.
That was a terrible analogy, guys. I'm sorry. But that's what you're looking at. The nice part about, and I'd say another benefit of the leveling kit, is the fact that, if you level it, you can return it back to stock. So like if you're leasing a truck and you're going to have to give it back, I wouldn't be doing a lift kit to a lease truck. That you can either return it back to stock, or you can leave it there and take the wheels and tires, put the factory ones back on. So that you got a couple different options there. So that is one of the biggest downsides of the lift kit. The other downside, as he mentioned a little bit earlier, is the fact that the truck is going to be a good bit taller. So even though you've got 33s and 35s, so realistically you've got a 2-inch tire size difference. So you think about it, if this tire is 2 inches taller overall, you've got 1 inch above the axle, 1 inch below. So a 2-inch taller tire is going to raise the truck by 1 inch. I hope that made sense to everybody.
Makes sense.
Does it make sense to you?
Of course.
Okay, so a 2-inch taller tire is going to raise the truck by 1 inch, and then you've got a 4-inch lift kit. So hypothetically speaking, this setup is going to be 5 inches taller than a factory. Well, I guess that's not a factory vehicle, because that's the. Well, so this one's got a 2.5-inch level plus maybe a 1 or 2 inch taller tire?
It's about an inch taller.
Okay.
Realistically.
So you're talking about 3.5 inches taller than factory over here, and then you're talking about a good bit more over here. My math is just totally jacked up, but you kind of see my thought process. It's a lot bigger versus not nearly as big. So there you go. But if you're not concerned about that kind of stuff, the lift kit is definitely the way to go. And I'd also say the other biggest downside is the cost associated.
Oh yeah.
That's
the upside to this one and the downside to this one.
That's exactly right. So the downside to this one is BDS lift kits, in my opinion, make the absolute best lift kits on the market right now, but they're also one of the most expensive ones. What is a kit like this, just the parts itself, is it like $1,900?
Yeah, I was say it's between $1,900 and $2,000, like $1,958 or something like that.
Okay, and once again, we'll have all the current prices linked up down below, but so you just call it $2,000, just round up and call it $2,000 for the parts only. And the other side, I didn't just now thought about this, is the install time.
Yep.
Where it's what do they recommend, 3 hours to install that?
Yes, sir.
This is 10 hours to recommend?
10 hours.
Yeah, so you've got 7 hours difference in labor between the two, but that's also because you're also messing around with the back end of the truck as well. So some upsides and some downsides there. What else did I miss, Colton?
Realistically, I don't think you missed too much. One of the downsides, and this is just because I get so many phone calls about it and it kind of turns people away, is getting in their garage when you get to a certain size lift and stuff like that. My garage is X amount of inches tall. How tall is this truck going to be? Well, I let them know, and they're like, well, that's not going to fit. So that's another thing, is being able to fit in certain places. Like I go back to, you can be able to fit in the hotel parking lot in this one. Well, this one's not going in the hotel parking lot, or maybe even the mall parking lot. So that's one thing to kind of it's kind of a downside to it is your accessibility kind of goes down a little bit.
Well, in talking about, hey, how tall is my truck going to be after I get done lifting it, we've actually made a video that's dedicated about that, and it actually kind of lines it out or lays it out exactly. If you take a stock truck and you know that, basically, I'm gonna link that up in the cards up here, so make sure you check out that particular video if you want some more information about what lifting or even leveling your truck will do. It kind of gives you a formula that you can follow and you can find out on your own. So good stuff there. All in all, I think there's a time and a place, or there's a right lift kit or leveling kit for every single person. And that's one of the things I love about custom trucks and custom vehicles, is that what works for me may not work for you.
Well, that's because you're taller than me.
I am 6'3". Hey-oh!
You gotta hit them with it.
Yeah, I gotta get, but that's true though. I mean, you know, he may have to go to downtown Birmingham all the time and fit in that parking deck. Well, for me, I might say, you know what, if I got to go downtown, the rare time that I do, I'll just take my wife's Explorer.
Well, I like to ride dirt bikes, and it's not very conducive for me being short to load a dirt bike up in a lifted truck.
That is very true too. I don't ride any dirt bikes, and so everybody. That's what's so cool about custom trucks and custom vehicles, is that not everybody likes this exact same thing. And in the car business, they say, I'm going to give you the censored version. There's a butt for every seat. You know, and the idea there is, no matter how you customize a vehicle, there is somebody out there that is the perfect fit for them, if that makes any sense. So once again, I don't want to sit here and ramble on.
Whoa.
One thing that we didn't talk about, leveling versus lifting, is payload capacities and things like that. So
that's a good point.
I'm sorry to kind of, this is a big point.
Didn't you have your notes written down?
I didn't. I like to wing stuff, can you tell?
Josh isn't changing the flashcards fast enough for you, is he?
Absolutely right. So when we do a leveling kit or a lift kit, there's a very, very big difference. In fact, I don't want to steal your thunder, because you are the one that does a lot of this, and like this is you do a great job of this, so I don't want to take it from you. Talk about it.
So when you level a truck, you're really not adding too much or taking too much away. And like you said, it's readily removable or returnable to stock. Mm-hmm. So when we do these trucks, we don't have to go back and weigh them, but when we're cutting on these frames and adding all this extra weight and stuff, we actually have to go and weigh every single one of these lift trucks. Any one that we have to cut the frame or take anything off that's not gonna be able to put back on, like grinding mounts off of like a F-250 top hat to put new coilovers on. So what we have to do is we have to actually go in and reweigh these trucks and actually adjust the payload capacity. Because if you're adding an extra 250, 300 pounds in lift and cross members and wheels and tires and stuff like that, to get that correct so that you're not going over that weight and getting into a safety issue, what we do is we go in and recalculate this so that you're within spec whenever you're loading this truck up.
Absolutely. And so that's one of the biggest things that most small mom and pop I could lift your truck, Billy, Billy and or Daryl and his other brother Daryl. They're like, I can lift your truck. They can figure out how to lift it, but they're not going through the proper steps of recertifying the payload capacity and making sure that all that's up to speed. And we do that on every lift kit.
Every
last one of them.
I can't let this truck leave till it's been reweighed and recalibrated.
Absolutely. He knows that if he does, he loses his job.
That's right.
but seriously though, guys, it's one of those things that if you are putting too much payload in this vehicle and it's not recertified and you don't know, guess what? If you get in a bad accident, the very first thing that big lawyer in your town is going to do is they're going to say, well, okay, what was the capacity of the vehicle? And if you exceeded it, you're going to get sued into oblivion. Well, in this situation, because it's not readily removable or readily returnable to stock, because we're cutting the frame, we recertify the vehicle. We don't have to do that necessarily on a leveling kit because, once again, we can take it all the way back to stock. That's a very, very big deal. Now, what is towing capacities? Does lifting or leveling, is there one that's better than the other for either one of those applications?
I get asked that a lot too, and no, it really doesn't affect your towing capacity. What's behind the truck, it doesn't really affect. It's more about what you're putting in the truck, in the bed, in the cab, stuff like that.
That's right. So, and let me clarify what he's talking about, guys. There is, when you're talking about, and once again, please consult your lawyer, because we're not a lawyer. We're not giving you any lawsuit or law advice. But my understanding, good old boy from Alabama, my understanding of the weights and the towing capacities and things like that is this vehicle has a certain gross vehicle weight rating, or gross combined weight rating if you're towing something. So there's a couple different things there. But the gross combined weight rating is the weight rating of what the truck weighs, what the trailer weighs, and all the stuff inside of it. That's fuel, that's the options on the vehicle, that is the cooler you have in the back, it's the kids in the back seat, it's the trailer, it's everything. That's that gross combined weight rating. Well, when you lift the vehicle, it doesn't screw up your gross combined weight rating. That's still there. But you have to realize that when you go with heavier wheels and tires, it takes a chunk out of that, meaning that if you're putting more weight in the wheels and the tires, you can't necessarily put as much weight in the bed of the truck or in the trailer of the vehicle. So when a lot of people say, well, if I lift my truck, it's going to lower my towing capacity, technically no, the gross combined weight rating is still the same. It's just the heavier wheels and tires takes up some of what you could have put in the trailer. Yeah. I hope that makes sense to everybody out there. But that is the truth. And by the way, that is the same is true on the leveling kits as well. So that doesn't change anything. A heavier tire does take out of that measure. So there you go, guys. Once again, all of this stuff, and in fact, what I probably want to do, we can wrap up the video right there. And so make sure to check out all the links down below for all of this different stuff. But this truck is really, really cool. It's special to me because, like I said, Andy reached out to us from so far away, but we did custom painted emblems on this one. As you can see, we've already done the BDS lift kit. We've got the MagnaFlow exhaust. We've got that ordered, the prototype. Yep. I think by the time that I'm making this video, those kits will start showing up in about 2 weeks, give or take. That is a private label manufacturer part for everything from 2015 and 2021 and up. If you want a black tip MagnaFlow exhaust system, you have to buy it through TC Customs. But that doesn't mean that we're just going to be crazy more expensive. We'll still offer discounts from time to time and things like that. But check us out on tccustoms.com. Thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a great day. Peace.